All right, so today we're diving into a story that really feels more like a fade out than like a smash and grab, you know?
Yeah.
It's about a guy who basically just disappeared right out of the heart of Manhattan's financial district.
Wow.
And get this, he left behind $10 million.
$10 million?
$10 million. It's the case of Jonathan Reese.
Right.
Vanished in 2009. And, you know, it's not like a typical kidnapping. There's no ransom note. He just, poof, gone.
That's wild.
So what's so interesting about this case is the quietness of the crime. Right. It's not this like big dramatic thing.
Exactly.
The drama is in the silence.
Yeah, and the missing money.
Of course.
$10 million, I mean.
It definitely gets your attention.
It does.
So in this deep dive, we're going to try to put together the pieces of this puzzle.
Okay.
You know, like how this whole thing allegedly started the schemes, the day he walked away, the crazy aftermath.
Right.
And some of the theories that are still out there.
Okay.
What makes this so interesting is that there are no, you know, typical crime scene clues. It's like a ghost story, but it's told in spreadsheets and bank statements.
That's a good way to put it.
And vanished funds, of course.
Of course.
That's the main part.
It is.
And the lack of that typical, you know, chaos of a crime scene.
Right.
It makes us really focus on Jonathan Reese himself.
Yeah.
Like, what kind of person could do this?
Exactly.
What would make him do this?
Right.
You know, these are the things that make this more than just a simple financial loss.
I agree.
So before he was the phantom with the $10 million fortune.
Right.
Jonathan Reese just seemed like an average guy.
Really?
Yeah. He blended in. He was the kind of person you wouldn't notice until he wasn't there anymore.
I see.
It sounds like, from what we know, he was very intelligent.
Okay.
But maybe not super social.
Interesting.
I mean, he graduated from Princeton with a degree in quantitative finance.
Wow.
Back in 97. Okay.
So, you know, for those who don't know, quantitative finance, that's using math and stats in the financial world.
Okay.
So it's pretty complex stuff.
It is.
And classmates described him as distant and calculated.
So that does fit.
Yeah. He sounds like the kind of guy who could understand those systems.
Right.
And maybe also, you know, operate outside of normal social rules.
I see.
And that sharp mind of his, it helped him move up at Falcon Ridge Capital.
Okay.
Which is a firm with some very wealthy clients. He wasn't trying to stand out.
Right.
He was all about the details.
Okay.
And by 2001, he was already rising through the ranks.
Wow, that's quick.
Yeah. And he had this reputation of being totally trustworthy. You know, clients loved him.
Right.
Executives praised him. He built this image of being super reliable.
Okay.
But it looks like all along, he was working on something else entirely.
Quietly.
Very quietly.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it really shows you the power of trust.
It does. Especially when you're in a position like that, with that kind of access and authority.
Yeah.
People just believe what they see on the surface.
They do.
And for Reese, that surface was carefully constructed.
Wow.
So let's dig into how this whole scheme allegedly got started.
Okay.
It seems like the first step was a fake client profile. A guy named Barclay Hollow.
Barclay Hollow.
Yeah. Yeah. It sounds like at first it was just a test.
A test?
Yeah, just a phantom in the system.
Oh, okay.
But it didn't stay that way.
So it grew.
Yeah, and what's interesting here is how it all seems to have escalated gradually. Like, he started small.
Right.
Testing the water.
Dipping his toes in.
Exactly. It wasn't this big jump into crime.
Yeah.
It was a slow burn.
I see.
And it didn't stop with Barclay Hollow.
Okay.
Over the next few months, 6 more ghost accounts popped up.
Wow.
Each one with a complete fake history.
So he made it all up.
Yeah. Investment records, transactions, even backstories.
Wow.
Retirement funds.
Wow.
Trust accounts. Family businesses.
He thought of everything.
He basically invented entire financial lives.
That's crazy.
For these clients that didn't exist.
So methodical.
Right. It wasn't just creating empty accounts.
Yeah.
He made it all look legit.
Wow.
These fake histories were key to making the whole thing work.
Right.
If someone glanced at these accounts, they'd look totally normal.
Like any other client.
Exactly.
He was good.
It shows how important it is to create a believable story.
It's true.
Even if it's completely made up.
Yeah.
It's not just about stealing the money.
Right.
It's about making people believe.
Convincing them.
That's exactly it.
Wow.
So then comes the big move.
Okay.
He starts moving real investor money into these fake accounts.
And how did he do that?
It wasn't all at once.
Okay.
It was smaller amounts here and there. A few $100,000 here.
Right.
A couple million there.
I see.
And the key was, he was the one controlling the performance reports.
Oh, so he could hide it.
Exactly. So as long as the overall numbers looked good,
right,
no one would notice those smaller transfers.
It's classic.
It's all about using that imbalance of information.
Yeah.
And the trust that people put in you.
Makes sense.
But here's where things get a little different.
Okay.
Than your typical embezzlement story.
How so?
Jonathan didn't start spending like crazy.
Really?
No fancy cars. No huge mansion.
No wild parties?
None of that.
Interesting.
Instead, he was moving that money offshore.
Offshore?
Yeah. Quietly setting up shell companies.
Okay.
In Belize, Panama, Cyprus.
So places known for secrecy.
Exactly.
To hide the money.
Right. These shell companies, they're basically just companies on paper. No real business activity.
Right.
Just a way to hide who owns the money and where it's going.
I see.
So this tells us that he wasn't just after a quick thrill. Right. This was about something more.
Long term.
Yeah. This was about securing his future.
And disappearing.
Exactly. Creating an exit strategy.
That's fascinating.
And the digital web he created. Yeah. It was mind-blowing.
Right.
Forensic accountants said it was one of the most complicated private embezzlement structures that they'd ever seen.
Wow.
This wasn't just moving money between accounts.
Right.
This was a whole maze designed to cover his tracks.
He really knew what he was doing.
It shows how important the digital world is in finance now.
It is.
So much of it is just data. And if you know how, you can manipulate it.
That's true.
Okay, so years go by. Right. He's running this whole elaborate scheme.
Right.
And then we get to Thursday, March 12th, 2009.
Okay.
Seems like a normal day. Jonathan goes to work, sends some emails.
Right.
And then at 12:41 p.m., he leaves for lunch. That's the last anyone at Falcon Ridge Capital ever saw him.
Wow.
Just a normal lunch break, and then poof, he's gone.
He vanished.
That's exactly.
That's so strange.
Security footage shows him going into a coffee shop nearby.
Okay.
But there's no record of him ever leaving.
So he just walked in.
Disappeared.
Like a ghost.
And here's the thing.
Yeah.
It doesn't even look like he bought anything at the coffee shop.
Really?
So maybe it wasn't his real destination. Right. Just a stop along the way.
So he had a plan.
Right.
Yeah.
He went in, but he didn't intend to stay.
That's creepy.
Back at his apartment, everything was normal.
Okay.
Car was parked outside. His phone was switched off a little while later, around 1:09 p.m.
Right.
There was no note.
No goodbye?
No message. Nothing. Like he hadn't planned to leave at all.
Really adds to the mystery.
Yeah, it makes it seem like this is all carefully planned out. No loose ends. Because he never created any in the first place.
Wow.
But there was one clue.
Okay, what was it?
3 days after he disappeared, an email was sent to a secure server at Falcon Ridge. It said, "Sometimes freedom is worth more than fortune. Don't look for me."
Wow.
And it was signed BH.
BH?
The initials of his first fake client, Barclay Hollow.
Oh, wow.
That email is so eerie.
It is.
Like, it gives us a possible motive.
Freedom.
Right. Yeah. But it also raises more questions.
So many questions.
Like, why send it at all? Why sign it with those initials?
Right.
Was it a taunt?
Maybe.
Or like a final show of his scheme?
Yeah.
Or was it something else entirely?
Who knows?
So as you can imagine, the aftermath was chaos.
Yeah.
Total panic at the firm. Clients were freaking out, demanding answers.
Right.
They started internal investigations right away, and they called in the FBI.
Of course.
When they found those ghost accounts.
Yeah.
It must have been like a bomb went off.
Right.
I mean, this trusted employee had been running this massive scam right under their noses.
Oh, wow.
For years.
That's terrible.
Devastating. Financially and for their reputation.
Of course.
And by the time they uncovered everything, the missing money.
Right.
The offshore accounts.
Yeah.
It was too late.
The money was gone.
And so was Jonathan.
Wow.
This is what's so crucial about white-collar crime.
With that?
Time.
Time.
The longer a scam goes unnoticed, the harder it is to untangle.
Yeah.
By the time they realized what was happening, Reese had a huge head start.
So they called in everyone.
They did.
To find him.
Interpol was alerted. Airports were on high alert.
Okay.
His passport was flagged.
Wow.
But it turns out,
yeah,
Jonathan had a backup plan.
He did.
Years before he'd gotten a second identity.
Wow.
The name Elias Ward.
Elias Ward.
Yeah, through one of those citizenship for sale programs.
Oh, wow.
In Malta, where you can basically buy citizenship.
I've heard of those.
Yeah, often without much scrutiny.
So he was prepared.
This wasn't just about stealing money.
Right.
This was about disappearing.
A new life.
Exactly.
That's incredible.
And of course, rumors started swirling about where he went.
Of course.
Argentina, Thailand, even Croatia.
Croatia.
Yeah. There were whispers he'd become an art dealer.
An art dealer?
Yeah, and that he'd had plastic surgery.
Wow.
But none of it was ever confirmed.
So just rumors?
Just rumors.
Wow.
Even with everyone looking for him, no one ever found any real proof of where he went.
That's amazing.
No fingerprints, no DNA matches.
Of bank records.
Nothing.
So he really vanished.
He really did.
That's incredible.
So this brings us to the really interesting part.
Okay.
The theories about why he did it.
Right.
And what happened to him.
Yeah.
Was he just a greedy criminal mastermind?
Could be.
Or was there something more going on?
I mean, that email about freedom.
Right.
It suggests something else.
It does.
Like he was unhappy.
Maybe he was tired of that high pressure world. Or maybe he was against the whole financial system.
A rebel?
Yeah, a financial anarchist.
Interesting.
That's a good word for it.
It is.
I think the idea that he wanted control more than money is really compelling.
It is.
I mean, think about it.
Yeah.
The planning the fake identity years in advance.
Right.
That last email.
Yeah.
It's like he was orchestrating his own escape.
Like a performance?
Exactly.
Wow.
The money was just a way to make it happen.
A tool to freedom.
Exactly.
That's a powerful thought.
It is.
But what if he wasn't alone?
What do you mean?
I mean, what if someone else was using him?
Like a pawn.
Yeah.
In a bigger game.
Exactly.
That's a scary thought.
It is.
Like maybe he had to disappear.
To stay safe.
Yeah.
That world of high finance can be so secretive.
It can.
With powerful people and hidden agendas. Maybe Reese was just a small part of something much bigger.
Something we might never understand.
That's a good point.
But no matter what his reasons were or if he acted alone, he had a huge impact.
He did.
He didn't just steal money.
Right.
He broke trust.
Oh.
He cost people their time.
Right.
And he showed that even in the financial world, nothing is truly secure.
That's scary.
And the fact that not a single dollar has been recovered shows just how well his plan worked.
It does.
It's crazy to think that so much money can just vanish.
Into thin air.
Like it never existed.
That's wild.
So here we are at the end of our deep dive into the vanishing act of Jonathan Reese.
Yeah.
And we're still left with so many questions.
It's a real mystery.
A regular guy in a suit working in this world of high finance. And then he pulls off this incredible disappearance.
It's amazing.
And it makes you think about who we think criminals are.
Right.
You know, we have these ideas in our heads about what they look like, how they act.
But Reese, he breaks all the rules.
He does.
He blended in.
Right.
Used people's trust against them. And in the end, it seems like freedom meant more to him than all that money.
Freedom.
That's what's so haunting about this.
It is.
What did freedom mean to him?
Yeah.
Was it freedom from his job?
Maybe.
From the whole financial system?
Possibly.
And could that freedom really be worth more than $10 million?
Wow.
It's a question that people are still asking.
They are.
Not just in finance.
Right.
But about the nature of crime itself.
And the people who commit it.
Exactly. Sometimes the people we least expect are capable of the most extraordinary things.
That's true.